And you're on.
Good morning, everybody. As you can see by that wonderful intro, this is supposed to be Christy's show, but here is Shane. So,
well, I don't know. The last picture you saw there, you were in it.
I know. You squeezed one in of me. I really appreciate it. So, as you can see, Shane is here today, and I'm here with George Smith, who is here on multiple fronts. And I want to get right into the number one thing that's coming up, and it's right around the corner. And you are involved in the Kids Queue this year at the Slabberama.
I am, and boy, what an event it's going to be this year.
It sounds like it.
You know, it's every year it's we've tried to grow and grow, and of course, COVID kind of put a halt to everything. This year, this takes place on the 13th, so Friday the 13th.
Yeah, what could go wrong? Kids, fire, and Friday the 13th. Let's go.
Well,
all right.
Actually, what could go wrong is a good thing, because the good thing is that we got a lot of competitors this year. In the past we've struggled to get good participation. It was generally designed for the professional competitors for the Saturday competition for their kids to give them something to do while their parents were here when they bring their kids along with them. And it was a great idea, and we do get that competition. We get those competitors, but in recent years, we've decided to go ahead and make this more a community event.
Yeah. So now you were telling me that this is the largest amount of signups you've had.
It is. So, typically we get about just slightly over 10, north of 10. We're looking to possibly push 30 competitors this year. We're still getting submissions every day and every minute, and every time I open my phone, I get another one, and I'm going.
Well, we hope we generate a few more. So if you want to participate in the Kids Queue, bombard George here, and let's get a few more out there. Let's really fill that thing up. So
right, and the best way to do that, and of course this year, this maybe has been part of the benefit for this year is that we are those that sign up online when they come and check in, we refund and return their $30 entry fee to them. So really, all it costs the kids is the cost of the product for the barbecue, and they're getting all kinds of little door prizes. The winners, we have 3 divisions in this competition. There's ages 7 to 11 in Division 1, and then there's 12 to 15 Division 2, and 16 to 18 in Division 3. And I'm going to say something here right now, because all you guys that are listening, if you got kids out there, you got pit masters, there has nobody been signed up in Division 3 yet right now.
Oh.
So right now we have
easy win, guys.
Easy win, right? So you get a cool trophy. You get cash prizes. So first place is $100 in cash prize, and you get all those bragging rights. And although I haven't seen it yet or confirmed yet, but last year the winner came out of the community.
Very cool.
And the grand champion for this event gets a $750 smoker barbecue.
Which you don't want, I'll take it.
Right.
Just give it to Shane.
So it was very good, very good. We looked for a new sponsor this year, so Mojave's Mist and Spa stepped up and said, we'd like to participate. We're going to go ahead and donate the barbecue to this event. And so you get that. You get a smoker, you get all the pellets, you get everything you need to move on.
Jackpot. So George, let me ask you this: what is the format? I know I was out there a couple of years ago, and a bunch of kids out there grilling up some steaks. It was pretty cool. What's the format this year? Something similar? Is there a time limit? Is there a time window?
Right.
Do they know what they're cooking? Do you surprise them? How's the format?
You
work?
do know what they're cooking, but to a certain extent. So 3 divisions, of course. The 7-11 division being the younger division. It's comprised of it's a chef's choice or a cook's choice, but it's a ground meat division, so it can be any type of ground meat. The Division 2 is cut meat division.
I like the burger division. That
right.
sounds like my
burger steak.
Right. Most kids start off grilling steaks with their folks in the backyard, or burgers. So burgers is a common thing. And but then you get the 12 to 15 division, which is cut meats. So that's the choice of cut meats, and then it's cook's choice for the Division 3, which is the 16 to 18 division.
George, do you know if the returning champion is coming back?
That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen the sign up yet. Actually, I'm going to go over there after I finish
You
up
got to
here.
defend your crown.
Yeah,
I'm reaching out right now.
I don't want to call it. I don't want to call him out.
I'm calling you out.
Shane is.
Because his mom is one of my customers as well. So I don't want to. I don't want to put her on the spot.
Listen, I need to know who it is. I need to know their Instagram. We're going to tag them in this post right now. And the gauntlet's been thrown down.
It is because I know that half these returning competitors want a piece of that action. They want to take them down, and last year it was a great entry, a great submission, and did an excellent job. So I mean, you can't have too many barbecues, so he needs to come back and at least try this, right?
Absolutely. So what's funny is so many things are. I don't want to say they like shy away from competition. Kids love competition.
Oh, they absolutely do.
Kids love competition. And so I don't know where in the spectrum of adulthood they like try to get it out of people, but kids love competition.
And they love to eat.
Yeah, well.
And you're right.
me and Argana just went and got a little breakfast. So
we love to eat too.
Yeah, the loving to eat is
right,
everywhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you like to eat, that starts as a kid and it continues as an adult.
That's right.
Well, I always hear some people tell these stories about my kid won't eat, my kid won't eat, and I always think,
not
Yeah,
my kid.
Yeah. We'll eat for him.
But yeah, so what happens is the competitors show up. Now all product has to be USDA inspected. So packaged meat from the store is what works fine. And then they come in check-ins between noon and 3 p.m. We verify all the paperwork, and then we do a check on their product. So they bring it in, must maintain a temperature at 40 degrees or below Fahrenheit, and we verify all that, and then they're good to go. And then the competition starts. Kids have their little briefing at competitors have their briefing around 4 p.m. And then this is also being judged by the Kansas City Barbecue Association professional judges, along with we have some guest judges from the community. They're going to be showing up and judging. So we got people like Eric Fox, we have Steve D'Amico, we have Toby Cotter, we have,
get him out of there.
Right,
Get
right.
Shane in there.
Right.
Get a real judge in there.
Toby doesn't know anything about food. Get Shane in there.
You know what? If you're available tomorrow afternoon, we have room for more judges.
Well, I got room for more food.
Right,
so.
right. So I mean, you got to think about it. If we have 30
so
contestants out there, you're gonna taste a lot of steak. You're not gonna even a guy like you is not gonna walk away hungry after that tasting, right? And then
steak is super filling too.
It is.
Yeah, I'm a steak junkie. You go. Everybody wants. Some people want seafood. I want a steak. Like I want a good steak, and I don't plug anybody or anything here, but man, I go to Mohave Steakhouse with my daughter probably once every week. And it's a pretty darn good steak. So
they do have good steaks. How much is it to get in?
So it's $30 entry and plus your product.
Okay.
So now, if you don't have a barbecue, we have we keep 45 barbecues.
Oh wow.
Charcoal barbecues. So for an additional $10, you basically get the rental of the barbecue and the charcoal. And
for $10, I would do that.
That's
just
a good
to not
deal.
have to drag one down
Right.
there.
Exactly. Exactly. But these competitors are able to bring their own gear in. So
that's cool, and I noticed that when I went there.
Right.
They have some pretty cool setups.
So they got these little smokers that they bring in, portable smokers and grills, and they're doing an hour and a half smoke on it, and then they're throwing it into the grill and finishing it off, and then they're presenting it. So these guys take it serious. These kids.
Yeah, they do.
And so all the competitors, the professional competitors, kids come in too. And in the past, we've allowed them to cook at their competitive site. So if their parents were involved in it as a professional, they were able to go and participate in the site. That's not happening anymore. Everyone has to be in the same arena, and everyone has to be their gear has to be there because
you don't want to have any meat controversy.
Well, we don't want any parent controversy. So
Yeah,
not to say
I saw that mom put that salt on that steak.
Right. So in order to do that, we'd have to have supervise their
For each barbecue.
Yeah, and that becomes a little crazy.
Yeah, and you guys spread out across the whole field.
Right.
And all this other stuff.
Right.
So this we have a rope line. The parents can help them kind of like set up the grill and get the grill fired up. But after that's done, it's back behind the rope line.
Let the kid cook.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You can use your hand signals, whatever you want to do, but whatever you can arrange.
So I often wondered. I wonder if the first person who came up with competitive barbecue was just a real foodie and wanted to get someone to put some food together for him, Like, who came up with competitive barbecue?
Right. Well, it's probably a bunch of guys sitting around backyard making steaks, drinking beers, saying
mine's better than yours.
My steak's better than yours. My steak's better than yours.
Call up Jimmy. Tell him come over here.
Yeah, he cooks a dang good steak.
This is way better than his.
Right?
Yeah.
And I believe that's how it started. So,
That's cool.
But it's very cool, though, that the Kansas City Barbecue Association steps up and contributes to this event, and I mean the kids really enjoy it when they know they're being judged by professionals,
right?
And that there's a certain amount of standard behind it and compliance to that. So I know that is great. They come in, they do a briefing for our community judges and teach them the rules on how to judge, and they take this thing absolutely serious. So if they even smell alcohol in your breath, you're out.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different rules on how do you judge this stuff and how you clean your palate.
I want to know if there's guys going around trying to sabotage people,
Yeah,
but nobody's looking.
Nobody's looking, right?
I got one right here, guys.
Right.
Get them out of here.
Oversalted, right?
Yeah. I've heard that they're very competitive. I know that we had a couple guys who competed locally, and it was pretty fun. And I was telling a story before it was quite as big as it is now. It was very small, over by the basketball courts. Right. And I just roamed around and kind of acted like I was somebody. And I got so much good food from all those competitors.
And
I was like, "What you working on over there?" And they were like, "Here, let me show you."
Well, right. And so, of course, we have local professionals that are competing as well in the event. So it'd be nice to see a local, just for the professional event.
Do we have a best local winner or anything?
I don't know that we've ever had anyone that's actually taken any honors.
Find out who places the best locally, and let's see if we can get them on the show.
Excellent.
That'd be cool. Get them on here, and I'm sure they'll have some
only
pictures
if they bring
a
barbecue, though.
Right.
Well, at 10 a.m., it's a little rough to get that.
No.
That's that overnight smoke right there.
You got to bring the brisket, man. You got to bring the brisket.
Yeah, the brisket.
Brisket is my favorite. It is
mine as well. Woo. Yeah. Everyone loves the ribs, but the ribs are an interesting, and that's why the competition uses them so much. The ribs is because they're very difficult to get right. So, we all think when I do ribs, I think, I want that. I want to just touch it and the meat falls off the bone. That's not really how they want the competitive ribs. They want it to have a little bite to the meat, or to the bone, meat to the bone, so that they can kind of feel it. I don't know. That's so.
So I'm a fat guy, so we'll just call it what it is, right? I'm a fat guy. If I cook food, I'm buying 4 racks of ribs. We're doing 2 flavors, and I actually like that fall off the bone. Like when I take those out of the foil, I put them back on and finish them, and I like to pull that bone out.
Throw it on the bun, strip it off the bone.
So that is a lot of people don't like it that way. They want to be able to cut those ribs up and then eat them off the bone. So I know exactly what they mean, and it is kind of one of the fun parts about ribs is. You can do them dry. You can do them wet.
Right.
You fall off the bone, a little tougher. You can do them straight smoke. And I'm sure those people who aren't into smoking food have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
But I promise you, they're all delicious, but they're different. And so everybody has a preference. And so it's kind of it's not just who nailed it today. It's whose recipe is the best, whose method is the best. There's a lot to it. So
right.
And the best thing I ever did, George, is I didn't convince my son wanted to learn how to do ribs. And so he does the whole thing start to finish. I don't do anything anymore. So I'll go buy the food. I'll come home, and I'll say, son, I bought ribs. And he'll get up, get them going, get them on the smoker. And now he takes pride in how he does them.
So what's he doing tomorrow?
Yeah, he put him in the competition.
Right?
Yeah, good luck getting my
16 through 18 division. There you go.
Now, listen, son, if you want to do it, you can go. I'll support it. Do whatever. If I can vote, I'll even cheat for you. But
right.
But my son's got so much going on. He cracks me up. Son, when we doing this again? He's like, well, I'm going to go to this game, and then I got to lift it this time. And then the guys are going to do 7-on-7, and I'm like, all right. So are you going to be around for anything this weekend?
Yeah, am I going to see you? Well, I just gave you my schedule. If you want to come and see me, that's where I'm going to be, right?
It's gonna come to that pretty soon, where it's like, all right, son, where can I go see you at?
Right.
So,
or get him on the show.
But yeah, son, you want to go do that? I'll give you. I'm not giving you my credit card. I'll give you some money. You can go do the whole thing, go crazy, and if you win, I want I want half.
Right. So yeah, that's why that division is tough. I think is 16 to 18 is because they're so involved in other things. Is that and that's a weird age, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna send the bat signal out to maybe I can get my son to get his. So my son's got a circle of buddies. We were talking about football earlier. And he's got a bunch of lineman buddies. Maybe you can get them all to do it and get a bunch of big old boys out there grilling food.
I mean, they could almost have their own competition within this.
The health department's not going to be out there, right?
No,
they're going to be out there, shirts off. It's going to be weird.
See, that's why we don't have any kind of such rules like that. If they want to take off their shirt and and paint their alma mater on there or their high school mascot, they get out there and do that. And there's no one to since we're not serving the food publicly. We're not subjected to
it's a private event.
I mean,
shirts on. We're just joking, but
I know, right? Right.
Nobody wants to see a bunch of bare-chested.
Well, it could be a movie.
Teenagers running around out there.
It could distract the rest of the competition.
So, George, I wanted to ask you a little bit. Now, your business is I Sharpen Shears.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you: is that something you've always done? Is that something that you got into late? Is it how do you get into this?
Right, I know it's like often get asked this question. Is like, can you actually, is this actually a thing? I mean, is this a career? Did you decide to do this? Did you go to college for this? No. So I spent 30 years in Alaska. I arrived here 4 years ago to take care of my mom, but I knew this was going to happen, 10 years ago, that I was going to have to probably make this move. And I said, what am I going to do? I was a contractor up in Alaska for 20 years, had numerous different businesses, but the main thing I did for the last 20 years was interior remodeling and contracting. And so I used to sharpen my own tools and stuff like that I need saw blades and chisels, things. And it never really became anything that I had a super interest in it. But I was remodeling for a customer that was had hair salons, and I did all her work in her house and remodeling her kitchen and stuff. And so I was building out a new esthetician suite for her, and I got done with it. And she's cutting my hair. She'd been cutting my hair for 14 years, and she's cutting away, and all of a sudden she gets frustrated, and she throws her shears on the counter and says, grumbles, and I said, what's the deal? She goes, I got to get those sharpened. And I said, just get them sharpened. She goes, well, there's nobody in the state that can do this. And I said, get out of here.
In state?
And nobody in the state of Alaska that can do them. And I said, that can't even be. He says, no, it is. He goes, last time, she goes, I pay about $800 a pair for these shears. She goes, and last time that somebody came through and said they can sharpen shears, ruined them. She goes,
oh, wow.
She goes, so I said, so what do you do with them? She goes, well, I mail them off. So I have 2 pairs of her primary shears. She goes, I mail one off, get it sharpened. It takes about 3 or 4 weeks. I sent it to the manufacturer, and I said, so they charge you for it? They said, yeah, they charge me. And they said, well, what do they charge you? And, she told me, and then I said, you got to pay freight both ways. I said, yeah. And me, who I am, kind of run numbers through my head, and I said, this is great. So middle of Alaska, living in Fairbanks, 30 below zero, January. I'm eating ice cream at 2 in the morning, and all of a sudden it kind of hit me again, and so I started researching, and I said, this is a real thing. So it kind of drew my interest, and then I started pursuing some training in it, just to find out whether or not that was something that I was interested in, and I fell in love with it. So all the things I've done throughout my life, I've enjoyed. But it's not been like a career oriented. Like I say, this is what I want to do at high school, and I'm going to be an engineer. So I started off my career as an engineer in California. Then I was disillusioned by it. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I did it. I was good at it, but I didn't enjoy it. So I kept on trying different things, and I stumbled on this thing, and I found out. I mean, it took me 50 years of my life to figure out something that I really enjoyed doing.
So maybe you can explain to me a little bit, but so in the hunting world, you have like a good caping knife, right? But that thing will get dull halfway through skinning an animal.
It will.
And so they make all these little like cheapy sharpening things, right? But they don't seem to do much.
They don't. They really don't.
So let me ask you, what's the secret? Like,
well, the secret is, and of course,
we're out there with like stones, like we're in the old times, trying to get our knife functional again, or else it's like
anything else. A knife is only good as what it's constructed out of. So, although the knife might look pretty, the knife might look good, but if you don't have good quality steel, you don't hold a good quality edge. And so, what does that mean? That doesn't necessarily mean you can have good quality steel. It means that you have excellent steel and excellent tempering behind it. So it's a tempering process that adds the expense to everything. So tempering is energy, and what tempering is once it's completed, it goes in through a vacuum oven, and they cycle this thing up and down in tempering. So they have this cycling profile of taking it up to so many degrees and then dropping it down to almost below zero. So they're cycling it, and what they're doing is they're concentrating.
I've seen tempered on things for my entire life, and I never knew that.
So what they're doing is they're taking the molecules and the carbon molecules and they're realigning them so that they have better consistency. So they develop good edge characteristics. Number one, they'll hold an edge longer, and they'll stay sharper, and they'll be more forgiving, if you will. So that's the difference when you're going through and if you're skinning an elk or you're doing a moose. You're trying to get through it before you have to do any sharpening, and realistically, you should be able to do that with a good quality knife.
Yeah.
And
that just means I bought cheap knives.
Right.
No way.
And
Give him to George. He
So,
can sharpen them.
and I'll tell you, one of the first times I went hunting was with a former owner of a dealership, and he told me this story about this $2,000 knife he had. It was this big, it had the flattened, looked like the waves in the steel and all the other stuff.
Damascus kind of pattern.
Damascus, yeah. And I just remember thinking, how did you buy a $2,000
$2,000
knife,
Crazy.
And so we're out bear hunting in Alaska, and somebody shoots a bear, and we're out there. This guy's knife dulls within probably one leg, 1/4, right? It's not a pretty process. We won't talk about it, but and this guy busts his knife out, and it was sharp for like 3 bears that week.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Wow.
And so that was the first time I ever got exposed to it. That's many years ago, and so I bought a really good knife, and then I didn't go hunting again for like a decade. So
There it sits.
Never ran into that bear again, right?
yeah, no. But my son started playing competitive football, and that's in the fall, and that's when most of the hunting. That was a spring bear hunt, but this was a different. I love hunting in Arizona in the fall, but just been busy.
Yeah, I did a whitetail hunt this year. This was the first time I drew tags, and that was out at Unit 22, 21.
It's got to be down southeast.
Yeah, it is southeast.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult territory to hunt. It's kind of a different process than what I'm normally used to, but there's great hunting here. But
probably saw more deer driving to work in Alaska than you did in all of your hunt in Arizona.
Right. Well, my property in Alaska, I had like 15 acres, and I had it was on an ancient game trail. So there was any given winter day, I could wake up and have 5 moose bedded down in my yard.
Oh, wow.
And I could walk out the door and I become nose to nose with one. So
1,000-pound animal.
Yeah.
It's unnerving.
Right. And I did moose hunting a couple times. I was more of a caribou hunter because I'm more of a I just take what I can eat, and caribou is perfect size for me. So, but on these knife issues, so I took a long time before I started bringing a knife. Number one, I just took in we have a local guy that's making knives that I'm now carrying. But I also, I'm always trying to support USA, right? And there's not a lot of manufacturers left in this country that have production. But Buck Knives is still one of them. So I became a master dealer for Buck Knives here recently.
That's
so
awesome.
Cool, yeah.
So very cool.
And they make a great knife, USA made, and it holds an edge. They use good steels. They use good tempering. And
we ever do a community spotlight out there with you, George?
Pardon me?
Have we ever has Christy ever gone out and done a community spotlight with Christy?
Not yet.
What do you do? Come on.
We're gonna have
You gotta get out and see George. Come on.
Well, we were talking yesterday. She's going, maybe you come in on the night. She goes, I don't know why I haven't interviewed you. She goes, I don't know. She goes, why don't you, she's coming on the 19th. And then yesterday she said, no, come in tomorrow. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
Happened quick.
Well, listen, I'm really glad you came, and I know you want to talk about golf tournament.
I do.
And I'm in no rush. I don't know if you got to run, but
no.
I wanted to ask you before we get into this golf tournament, which I do want to talk about because our name's on it, so that always makes me feel good.
Right.
So. How did you come down from Alaska and jump in and get so involved so fast? Is that just something you consciously wanted to do, or did you get sucked in a little bit?
Okay. And many of you are going to probably appreciate this, especially in this community, that a lot of people end up here because their parents were here, right? And so my parents retired here, 25 years ago. From Southern California. I'm up in Alaska, And my mom lost her husband about 15 years ago, and then she started become. I come down, I do my annual visits. I started noticing there's some changes with her, and so I was asking the rest of the family, and everyone that's kind of close around her says, "Oh no, everything seems fine." And I say, "No, I don't think so." Then the following year, I come down and I realized that there was some cognitive issues going on, and so I came to take care of my mom in her later stages of life. And when you do that, you really have two choices. You come to it was like people say, "Oh, you're here." I said, "Well, yeah, I came here out of my own volition, but it was never really my choice. I was probably gonna die in Alaska. That was my thought. But family calls, you do what you got to do, and so in the process of that." I come down here and I move down here and I kind of like a fish out of water, if you will. I'm like, what do I do around here? I don't know anybody. I knew nobody but my mom, and so I'm going, what am I going to do with myself here? I transitioned into this business knowing that the sharpening business, knowing that I would have to do something. It offers me all kinds of flexibility and portability, and you didn't necessarily have to have a storefront, and I was going to be able to take care of my mom as she needed and progressively spend the more time that I needed and still be able to go out and do something, earn an income. And so that's what I did. You have two choices. You can either sit back and say, okay, I'm here until she decides to go to the other side, and I'm just going to sit here and wait for that. That's kind of morbid. Or you're going to plug into the community and you're going to get involved. And that's what I did. I chose to plug into the community. First thing I did was I was seeing an early customer, and she said, "Hey, if you want to meet some good people, why don't you come to a Rotary meeting?" Yeah,
so, and you did. I'm going to tell you. Yep, there you go. You are now the morning Rotary President.
That's correct.
And that morning Rotary group is great. I mean, we rant and rave, and not that the other clubs aren't awesome. Also, I know there's what do they call the one in Bullhead?
That's Bullhead.
Lunch.
Yeah, right. Well, lunch yeah. That's the noon group. The noon group.
The noon group. There you go.
Right.
That's what I always thought of. As you go down, that was the burger one, and this one was the breakfast one.
Breakfast one, right? Yeah, they have burgers.
Again, I told you, I warned you, I was a fat guy. Like everything relates around food. So
right. we have breakfast burritos. They have burgers, right?
Yes. So, but that morning Rotary group has done a great job, and I'm sure you've been a key part of that. We were just talking about, the bingo coming up for the Mohave Valley Junior High.
Right.
And so I'll tell the story. I think Christy probably already told it. I saw you guys put the poster out the other day. We go down. Mohave Valley Junior High had a great, what do they call it, technology center?
Yeah, they had their ribbon cutting for their innovation lab.
Excuse me. And so we go out to Rotary because they want to expand it. They got a good thing going. They need a few more things to kind of finish it off. And it was like before they could even get out the word that they were looking for help, people were already volunteering money out of that group. And that group stepped up, gave them the money they needed, and now they can take all this money from this bingo night, and which we're really excited. We're going to sponsor that also, and they can do all that little stuff that you probably don't realize takes so much to get done.
Right. Well, they came and they were looking for, so during that event we were introduced to, number one, for those that were there, understand it, and those that didn't necessarily attend and see that, walking through the door, seeing those kids, and having those kids with the pride they have, and their heads held up high, and I mean very articulate, very knowledgeable in what they're doing, confront you, introduce themselves, and ask you if they can take you over to one of their technology center, or one of the aspects of what they do, and introduce you to that. Speak to a little bit about whether it was design or whether or not it's a virtual reality or what they were doing.
Especially those of us who don't know what any of that
exactly.
is.
That's what I'm saying here, right? I still remember Atari, so that's my technology gap. But they had so much pride in what they were doing, and you could tell that they were lit up on fire for learning, and so that innovation labs is just a great asset to this community, and those guys, the staff there, and the administration, with such a presence and open mind to recognize this and implement it, get it put in place, and then the community, to see the community stand behind them and support them. So when they came and they said, "Hey, we're gonna try and do this fundraiser. We have this immediate need for new drones so that the kids can have a one-on-one experience in the drone." in the drone lab, and so we just asked, well, what are you looking for? And they said, we're looking for X amount, and we said, 2 or 3 members stepped up and said, I'll throw $100 and I'll throw $100
out of their pocket, right out of their pocket.
And then the club just said, hey, let's move and move on it and provide the rest of the funding. So we did.
Absolutely, great job to everyone involved there, and I'm sure other people would have gladly do it. But your opportunity to do that now is at that bingo event. Come on out, support it, have some fun, raise some money. And I'll tell you, in regards to walking into that room and seeing those kids and all that other stuff, so much frustration is voiced about the schools, right?
Right.
But when you see something good, you need to encourage it as much as you want to complain about something you don't see. Because I'll tell you, it is an uphill battle. It is a challenge.
It is.
And so when you see something like that, you need to encourage it and support it. And you can't just do it in the moment when it's hot and popular. You got to follow up on it, see where it goes next. I know we had mentioned where's that go next? So now let's see what River Valley does. Let's see what Mohave does.
Right.
So those kids leave this middle school program, and they take it somewhere else and grow it. And then from there, they can exceed to the next level, whether it be Mohave Community College, university, whatever that is. So.
They've already established. They've already done all the legwork and established a program that I think can be repeated just about in every school across the district. So I don't know why the entire river area doesn't embrace this. All the school districts embrace it and have something like this for the kids that they could learn, because this is a future. This is what they need to learn in order to be successful 15 years from now.
Yeah. True.
I always joke about you probably had similar experiences. They're like, well, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. You're not,
man.
You're not going to have a dictionary with you.
You know what?
I'm like, oh yeah.
I got Google.
So I'm old enough to remember, when we didn't have calculators, right? And I remember when the first pocket calculator, little portable calculator, came out, and the school said you can use those in school. And so even though we could use them, we couldn't afford them, because back then they were like, they're
a big deal.
They're a big deal, and they were spendy, and parents weren't going to buy them for you. And, my dad just threw me a slide rule, said, I taught you how to use this, right?
So George, I'll tell you when I knew I was in trouble is when I had to take a class to know how to use the calculator to do the math class.
Right.
You got those scientific calculators.
Right.
I was like, what is this thing?
Right.
1 + 1 is 2. Like what?
I remember back in the 80s.
Here, so.
Back in the 80s, I went through a statistical process control class, and they had a specialized calculator for statistics, and they had to educate us on how to use that calculator.
Yes.
Right.
No. Oh, thank God for selling cars.
Right.
Which is hilarious because I was a desk manager for many, many years, and I remember sitting on that desk and thinking, they told me I'd use all this number stuff, and they were right. Percentages, payments, budgets. So much stuff that I just remember thinking, I'm never going to use any of this. I used all of it. So
I'm going to play football, right?
That's what. That didn't work out.
No, that didn't work out.
Mrs. Zarzicki was right. Mr. Wang was right. I'm sorry, I was wrong. But I did have a calculator to do it all. So, now you got golf tournament info.
Yes.
I want to go over that a little bit.
Right.
I'm sure you got stuff you got to do. So there's the flyer.
There it is.
Look at that.
So Finley right there.
Yeah.
On two sides.
Yeah, if we're on there twice, I'm pretty happy to show that flyer.
Right.
So,
bragging rights.
So Finley's a hole-in-one sponsor. So this is, we should be talking about this. This is our 7th annual charity golf classic. Even though it has grown every year, and this year is no exception. We have really stepped it up. The committee there has done a great job in leaning forward on this and getting this thing to where it's at. So
7th annual.
7th annual, yes. So the tournament's been just around just about as long as the club has been around. So, and already we have, there's sponsorships available for it. I think there's some bronze sponsorships still available, and that pretty much going to get you in, get you some T signs. They're going to get you some coverage there, and then But all the primary sponsors have been taken. That's how popular this event's been getting. And of course, Finley's
What a good
always stepping
problem.
up. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean by the committee. They've done a great job with this.
Do we know what the hole-in-one prize is?
The hole-in-one prize we do have. So we have the standard hole-in-one prizes, and now we also have $1 million hole-in-one prize. So
I'll take that one.
That's going to be a little different. So
Take that.
we have quite a few hole-in-one prizes, and I don't know what is Finley doing on that one.
So typically it's
a car, right?
We have a window of price range. I know that there was an incident recently where someone brought out a really fancy car for the display car.
Right.
And that was not the car you won because they didn't think anybody's going to win it, right? So you bring out the cool-looking one. They're like, all right, I won that. Like, nah, that's not what you won. You actually won. So we actually bring out the car that you do win.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we typically do something, brand new Equinox, terrain, something like that. Pretty nice. And I'll just tell you guys, the way we do it is we insure it. And we do something in that $30,000 to $40,000 price range. So we try to get, from the marketing side, I don't know if the sales guys appreciate this, but we try to get the coolest car we can get for the money out on that golf course.
Of course, yeah.
Hopefully we'll have something cool out there. We finally have some inventory. We had been short on inventory for so long, for really the last year and a half.
Since COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, we'll do that golf tournament, but we don't have one car to give you. So
right.
We got to use one.
There you go. Yeah. So
hey, the right used vehicle is even good too, right? I mean,
yeah. It's
I mean, if you're looking at commercial fleet vehicles,
and this is kind of a funny thing that I'll just throw out there if anyone is watching or this ever comes up, but you can actually take that car that you win and trade that in. Like, for example, you win a terrain and you need 3 rows of seating for your family. You can take that amount that terrain was won for, or the vehicle itself, and trade it back in and get the vehicle that fits you better.
Get the one that you have your choice.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a process because it's with insurance and a third-party company and all this other stuff, but
it can be done.
So, if you go out and you win a four-wheel drive truck and you're like, I don't ever want to drive four-wheel drive in my entire life, you can trade it. And
does that happen in this community? I don't think that happens.
No,
not out here.
You talk to somebody who doesn't like trucks and, they're anti, and then you're like, oh, would you want one? They're like, well, yeah, I'd want one.
Well, I want one.
True.
Yeah.
I want that one on the showroom floor. Well, okay.
Yes.
Right. We all want that.
We were talking about today, or yesterday, I'm sorry, and man, these trucks are just so much better and better and better. And I've been doing this long enough that I've bought a new truck every couple of years for almost 15 years. Not a great habit, but we really appreciate if anybody else wants to do that.
Not a good habit.
And they're like driving luxury cars
They are.
with four-wheel drive now. Like,
They are.
it is ridiculous how nice they are. So
They
if
are.
you think you want a truck, but you're not sure that you want to drive it, I'm telling you, once you've driven it, it's hard to go back. So.
Yep.
Yep.
True. The EVs are coming out too. So
Yeah.
And that there's still.
We'll save that for a more political show.
Right. We don't want to get into all that. I got you.
EVs are actually really cool, but there's a lot that goes to it. You do have to have a place to charge it, infrastructure, which we're actually working on right now. Trying to supply some infrastructure that'll benefit everybody in town.
Right, and then of course the range. If
if
you're gonna be if you're operating, even for me, if I had a small van, right, that I could operate for the I operate between Havasu and Kingman, so that's a pretty good range for something like that. But if you're going to do the cross country trips and stuff like that, it gets a little bit more problematic.
Right.
So George, before I got divorced, I pitched a electric vehicle to my then wife, and I was like, "You'd never need gas again. You drive from here to there to there." And back then, electric cars weren't exactly the sharpest looking things. They're basically kidney beans on wheels, right?
Yeah.
They're just a little orb-shaped thing.
Right,
They weren't Teslas. They weren't all these cool cars. And so she looked at me like I kicked the dog or something.
Right,
so,
that's not
you were
happening.
crazy.
We got divorced shortly after that, so I apparently should have pitched an electric car.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean,
Maybe that was it then.
see, electric cars do have their downsides.
Apparently it's divorce.
Funny.
So let her
boy.
pitch the electric car to you, fellas. So, but
Don't do it, guys.
George, it was a pleasure. And I'll tell you what, you are certainly welcome back, and I mean that very seriously. If we have like a outstanding local participant, you should grab them. Bring them back on the show one day. Both you guys sit down, talk about the experience. Let's get some cool pictures.
Yeah,
let's
do
have
that.
some fun, and let's do a follow-up to this. And
Let's do. I'll get some pictures. We'll, I'm going to go strong arm some of the competitors that haven't signed up yet. And
Get out there, sign up, participate.
Right.
Be the
Make some
best
good
barbecue.
food.
Get them out there. 16 to 18. We got plenty in Division II. We can always have as many as we want.
I'm going to send this to my my football team. See if we get anybody to
there
sign
you
up.
go, yeah.
I'll pay for the food, fellas. You guys go do it.
Oh, there we go. It doesn't even get any easier than that. You just got to show up.
Yeah.
And if you sign up online today.
I'll pay for the grill rental too.
We're good. We're good.
Can't beat it.
All right.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Shane.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
See you guys.
All right. Take care, guys.